Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I want to show you how to fix a muddy mix in 3 different ways. We're going to be tackling the classic muddy mix today, but before we dive in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is completely free, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and talk about fixing a muddy mix. Now this mix isn't necessarily muddy, but it gets pretty dense at the end of the song. There's a lot of stuff going on. We got a full drum kit, a little bit of percussion here, bass, we've got a verbed out electric guitar, a pair of electric guitars here, a pair of acoustic guitars, a piano, a pad, and then the lead vocal. So it gets pretty dense here at the end of the song. There's a lot packed in. Let me play you what it sounds like, and then we're going to talk about a couple different ways that you can fix a muddy mix. If your mix just gets too muddy, if it gets too busy at the end, we'll talk about how to fix that here. But let me play you the finished mix as it stands here.
Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through. Don't lose sight of her head. Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through. Don't lose sight.
So you can hear our arrangement is pretty thick there, especially with the verbed out guitar and the pad going on. It gets pretty dense sounding. Now this track's EQ'd pretty well here, but if it was muddy, we're going to talk about a couple ways that you can fix it, especially with a lot going on here. The first way and the easiest way you can tackle this here is simply on your mix bus. So if we open up our mix bus here, you can see we got my classic mix bus channel here. So we've got console shaper, the fat channel, which is the SSL style bus compressor, and then a tape machine. If this was a little muddy and there was a little bit too much going on, the easiest way we could fix that is by taking an EQ, pulling it in here, putting it at the top of our chain, and then simply pulling out some of the mud here on our mix bus. Now I'm going to flip to mono here just so we have everything focused in the middle. Let's find where it gets a little bit muddy, where things are building up a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit of it out here.
Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through. Don't lose sight of her head. Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through.
So right here, there's a little bit of a buildup. Like I said, this track's EQ'd pretty well. But if you're looking for mud in your mix on your master bus like this is exactly how we do it. We pull an EQ notch up, narrow it a little bit, and surf around here. Usually want to be looking between about 200 and about 500. That's where we're going to find that low-mid buildup, that low-mid mud. There's a little bit of a buildup here around 400. So let's tuck this out a little bit. I'm going to keep it a little bit narrower. We might go actually, let's go wide. We'll go back to 1 on the cue here, and we're just going to tuck a little bit out. When you're working on your mix bus like this, subtle moves make a big difference because you're affecting the entire track. You're cueing the track as a whole. So let's tuck a little bit out at a time here and see what we get.
Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through. Don't lose sight of her head. Wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it up through.
See just a dB notch there, or not really a notch, just a dB cut here at 400 hertz really helps to open up the low mid area a little bit, clears out some of that buildup there. We had a little bit of a buildup here around 400 on the track. Like I said, this is a finished mix, so there's not much left that we need to do here. A little bit of a cut here goes a long way to help clean up the track. Let's flip back to stereo here and see how we're sounding.
Wait, wait, it'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, wait, gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it all through. Don't lose sight of her head. Wait, wait, it'll be a little longer.
So that's our first way there. This is the easiest way to clean up your mix if it's feeling a little bit muddy. Throwing an EQ on your master bus and just tucking a little bit out here in the low mid area will go a long way to clean up your mix here. So we'll turn off that guy there. Our second way is going a level deeper than our master bus, and that's looking at group buses here. So you can see how I have my mix set up here. All of our different channels are running to group buses here. So we've got drums, top end, percussion, bass, all the music, so that's our guitars and keys, vocals, and then all of our effects here. So if things are getting a little bit too muddy, one of the ways I would handle it is by finding where most of that energy is coming from. For me on this track, it'll be coming from all of our music, right? So it'll be coming from our guitars and our keys here. All of that is sending here to the all music bus. Now, if you don't have your buses set up like this, or if you do and it's coming from multiple buses, just hit those multiple buses. So if you have a little bit coming from your drums, a little bit coming from your music, a little bit coming from your bass, just hit those 3 tracks. So we'll solo up our drums here and we'll hit these 3 tracks and cut a little bit on each of them in that low mid area. So drums aren't sounding too bad. They're a half dB cut in the low mid area. Let's take a listen to our bass and we'll see if we need to do anything here. So here we're a little bit lower. We're about 200 hertz here, and I narrowed the Q a little bit. There was a little bit of muddiness here down in the lower end, around 200 hertz. So we're about a dB and a half down here with our bass guitar. Now let's throw in our music here and make sure our music's sounding okay all together as well. So this is guitars and keys now. So this is our second way, attacking that low mid energy or any kind of muddiness that's building up on bus channels or group channels here. So we did a little bit on our drums, a little bit on our bass, and we attacked a little bit on our music bus, so our guitars and our keyboards here. This is the second way that you can handle it here. So we'll turn these guys off here, except for the ringing that we had going on here. There was a little bit there in the mid-range there that we had that was ringing a little bit on our music that was already in there. We'll leave that there. Everything else now, we have these 2 guys here that we can just turn off for the moment. We'll leave that on. The third way you can get rid of muddiness in a mix is by finding the source instrument that's doing it. So what we would do here is rebuild your mix instrument by instrument and see where you find the muddiness. So we'll start here with our kick drum, and we're going to add each instrument in one by one, and we'll feel when it starts to get muddy or what instrument is adding that buildup. So let's start here with just our kick drum. We're going to add things one by one and find where we get some muddiness here. So say here, right, we add our room mic in and it gets a little bit thick sounding. We have this EQ afterwards. We could just pull this down a little bit further, but the way I like to do when I'm doing revisions like this is to pull something in. If I'm going in, I'm just thinking my mix is a little bit muddy. I don't want to touch the EQ that's already there. I'll just pull in another one, EQ it a little bit further. Just a big cut there on our room mic, and now our drums are sounding a little bit better. So let's keep moving here now. We've taken care of our room mic. Now things like this, percussion, we know our muddiness isn't coming from there. We'll throw the rest of our room mics in for our drums, and let's throw our bass guitar in. So here we got a little bit of nosiness on our bass guitar. So let's pull in an EQ and see what we're doing with our bass guitar here. Make sure it's okay, make sure it's clean for our mix here. That's it. That's all we needed there on our bass guitar, just to clean it up a little bit. I'm just going to mute these remaining instruments here, and we will add them in one by one and make sure they're all clean here. They're all working with our mix. The next ones we're going to add in actually are the pair of acoustic guitars here. So let's see how we're doing here. So here's this verb guitar here that's adding a lot of denseness here in our mix. I'm going to roll off a little bit more of this low mid area, and that cleaned it up nicely to sit in our mix here. So we'll throw this back in. All of our instruments are sounding good. We'll throw our vocal back in, and now we've got our mix cleaned up a little bit here.
It'll be a little longer. She's coming for you. She'll get here fast as she can. Just wait, wait. Gotta be a little stronger. You'll make it all through. Don't lose sight of her head.
Now we no longer have a muddy mix. It doesn't feel as dense. It doesn't feel as jam-packed with instruments here. So those are 3 ways you can clean up your mix if it's starting to feel a little bit muddy, a little bit too dense. The first way, the simplest way here, is to just throw an EQ on your master bus, pull a little bit out in the low mids there. Second way is if you're using group buses or bus channels like I have here, where certain groups' instruments are sending to certain buses, attack it on those buses. So pull a little bit on the music bus, a little bit on the bass bus. If your drums are feeling a little bit muddy as they all come together, a little bit on your drum bus. If you aren't using something like this here, you can attack it on the channels, on the individual tracks at the source here. So rebuild your mix, instrument by instrument. When you feel something come in that's a little bit muddy or a little bit too thick, throw an extra EQ on, pull that mud out, and keep moving, and you'll trim it out as you go. And when you get finished there, you will no longer have a muddy mix. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video here, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.